began with the smallest shift in the sky. On a still Tuesday morning, he stepped outside to take the trash out. Overhead, the clouds were a mottled gray, moving lazily in the late summer heat. But as he reached the curb, he glanced up and thought, just for a moment, that the nearest cluster had drifted in the same direction as his head. He chalked it up to coincidence. Clouds move, after all. The next day the thought returned. While raking leaves from the patchy lawn, he noticed the same subtle imitation. When he bent to scoop the leaves into a bag, a soft bulge of vapor lowered itself in the same arc. When he straightened, the bulge rose. It was faint enough to dismiss, but not faint enough to forget. By the end of the week, the mimicry had grown undeniable. If he raised a hand, a pale wisp above would curl in the same direction. If he paced across the yard, the larger shapes in the sky would creep to match his path. They never moved in jerks or snaps, only with a smooth, fluid grace, as though the air itself was watching and waiting to copy him. The air seemed heavier when he went outside now, not humid, just present, like a held breath. Shadows on the ground no longer felt fixed. The light dimmed subtly whenever he paused, as though the clouds above thickened deliberately. One still afternoon, he decided to test it. He walked to the center of his yard, set his feet apart, and spun in a slow circle. Overhead, the sky followed, gray veils twisting in sync with his turn. He stopped abruptly, and the clouds froze. A moment later, they began to part. Through the thinning layers, a darker space emerged. Not the deep blue of the sky, but something else, something pale and smooth, stretched wide. Two vast circular hollows opened within it, darker than shadow, yet somehow bright around the edges. They were eyes fixed directly upon him, a mouth formed below them, not with the softness of drifting vapor, but with the precision of something shaping itself intentionally. It curved upward, slowly, into a deliberate smile. The air turned dead still. No birdsong, no breeze in the trees. Even the sound of passing cars beyond the neighborhood seemed to vanish. The world held its breath. Then the clouds closed again, erasing the face as if it had never been there, but the stillness remained. The weight in the air pressed harder, a slow, invisible hand against his skin. That night, rain fell, not in a steady rhythm, but in irregular bursts, as though the clouds were deciding when to release each drop. When he looked through the blinds, the storm above his street seemed to be centered on his house alone. Lightning flared without thunder. The flashes illuminated his yard in short, strobing intervals, and with each one, the shape of the clouds appeared lower. Over the following days, the sky never seemed to leave him. It hovered directly above no matter where he went, at the grocery store, walking along the river, even miles away from home. The same gray hung over him, distinct from the brighter or darker skies around it, tracking his movements like a tether. Sleep became shallow, restless. He would wake in the night to the faint sound of water trickling from the gutters, though the ground outside remained dry. Some mornings, condensation coated the inside of his windows as though the air outside had pressed close enough to breathe against the glass. By the second week, the mimicry became more precise. The clouds no longer just mirrored his body. They matched his posture, his pace, the tilt of his head, and sometimes movements he had not yet made. A twitch of his arm above was followed by a twitch in his own shoulder below, as though the reflection had become the original. On the 15th day, the face returned. The sky parted, not gradually this time, but suddenly, like curtains pulled back. The pale expanse loomed closer, the eyes sharper and more defined, the smile broader. The mouth opened wide enough for its edges to vanish behind the horizon. From within, there came a sound. Not thunder, not wind, but something low and resonant, vibrating through the ground. The windows rattled. The trees swayed, though the air remained still. The sound swelled until it was inside his chest, in his bones. His vision narrowed. The gray above seemed to sink lower and lower until it was no longer clouds at all, but a presence, solid and vast, pressing down, covering everything. The world went dark, not like night, but like being submerged. When light returned, the sky was clear. The air smelled sharp, metallic, as though a storm had just passed. His yard was damp, but not from rain. The moisture clung in a thin sheen to the grass, the driveway, even the walls of his house. Overhead, a small cluster of clouds drifted lazily toward the horizon. They did not look back.